A prison in Pennsylvania created an entire dorm that mirrors Norway and like Scandinavian prisons. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, I'm very happy today. This is only something I've been begging the country to do forever. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been to prison. It's not a flex, it's just a fact. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel and my Facebook page and my podcast, all of the things. I also have new merch. Just saying. Without further ado, let's kick this thing off. So I'm just going to show you the video that I saw pop up on my feed. And when I saw it, I was so excited. I think someone actually tagged me in it. Yeah, I didn't just pop up. I don't know. Here we are. So let's just watch this video and then we'll talk about it.
At this US prison, inmates can relax on soft seating and play video games. There's a fish tank and a cat called Wody. In the US, there's over 1 million people behind bars, but here, 64 prisoners live in an experimental wing called Little Scandinavia, based on prisons in Norway and Sweden, which have lower rates of violence.
They find weapons all the time on other housing units. We have not really had those issues over here. I think it's just due to the calmer temperament of the housing unit.
Joe is serving life for a serious violent crime.
There's no comparison to where I used to live, the amenities we have, the freedom we have to make different decisions.
Critics say this is rewarding criminals, but those behind the project say this approach helps everyone.
So what this project shows is that it's possible to design a space that is a punishment, but is a little bit more humane and creates a better foundation for rehabilitation.
So we know that the more we restrict people, the less privileges we give them in prison, the harder we make it for them. We know that doesn't work, and we also know that it not only creates a danger for the staff, but for the other inmates too. When you have a facility that is just a lockdown facility, they're not getting the right nutrients. They're not getting the right water. They're not getting sunlight or anything. They have no amenities. They have nothing. What is the purpose of trying to follow the prison rules? Why? Why would they want to do that when they don't have anything? It's like, well, I'm in a box in GP, and if I do something crazy and get whatever, I'll just be in a box over here in segregation. It's literally hell on earth. But we know today in 2025 that the more privileges an inmate has and the more things that they can work towards, the better it is for everyone. Violence goes down by, I don't even have the right number in front of me right now, but violence drops dramatically in dorms like this, where they have the freedom to move around, they have different privileges, they have someone that believes in them, and they have a program that really just kind of focuses on rehabilitation. And I know that the inmate that they decided to use for this one has life, but still, his life can still have meaning behind bars. He can still have value and add value to other people's lives behind bars. It was a lifer that told me that I was just one mistake away from spending the rest of my life in there with her. She looked at me and she said to me, "Little girl, you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know how the world works. You have a bad attitude. When you walk out those doors, if you have that same chip on your shoulder and that bad attitude, you're going to come right back." And she was right. She was right. I hated the system when I was in it. I still hate it to this day, but there's a way to go about certain things. And I was just really grateful that she took time out of her day for that. So people that have life can still add value. So I did want to say that. The reality of the American prison system is that it's a massive failure and a fucking embarrassment to the rest of the world. We incarcerate more citizens per capita than any other nation in the world. Our recidivism rate is sky high, meaning people just keep going back to prison. And it's not because they want to go back to prison. It's because we've made it so hard for them to get out of prison, have a job, find housing, do basic things. Some states even, restrict access for government assistance. And I know my tax dollars. Okay, you don't get to say where your tax dollars go. Okay, none of us do. But it would make sense to have our tax dollars go to a system that actually works. It's called the Department of Corrections. What are they correcting? Absolutely nothing. So in my prison reform plan that I think is amazing is to have every housing unit look like that. Every single housing unit should look like that. That way the inmates that deserve it and have shown a period of good behavior can go to those dorms, and the ones that haven't don't get it. Trust me, a lot of the problems that we're seeing today will decrease in prisons, like the violence and stuff. But another part that I think is essential to having dorms with more amenities and more programs is to have a job training program and then a job placement program. So we do have work release programs, but it's not a massive thing. It's like 30 people per prison can have a work release program. And I think that that's crazy. We need a massive shift in that job training and job placement. I also think that we should not be denying housing for people getting out of prison. But what about the murder and the rape? I know that. I understand that. But fun fact for you, if you have a murder charge, you are less likely to reoffend than anyone else. Did you know that? Anyone involved in a situation that results in the death of anyone, and these cases are so wide-ranging, those people are the least likely to reoffend. They just don't, typically. Rapists can rot. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the majority of people. Not rapists. Not chomos. I'm not talking about how many more times do we have to see cases like Robert Brooks, who was beaten to death at Marcy Correctional Facility, which is just outside of a town I used to live in. Utica, New York. My guess is for the rest of forever, because I've been talking about this online for 6 years now. And, things like this give me a little bit of hope, just a little glimmer of hope that politicians and, governors, mayors, and state officials, that they are taking notice, because for this project in Pennsylvania, they had their local officials go over to Norway and kind of just see what they were doing. And, that's a huge deal. And I'm very happy that they took that initiative and they're kind of learning how to make their prison system better. One of the amenities, I guess, that they have is they can grocery shop and then make their own meals. That is huge. That's huge. I'm engaged to someone. Y'all might have heard of him, Burner 420. Y'all's favorite. He did 4 years in juvenile detention and then 8 years in prison. That man can't cook. He has no idea how to cook. So I was so excited when I saw that they could, put in their order and then cook an actual meal, not ramen noodles, like real food with like vitamins and shit, I knew how to cook a little bit, before prison. It wasn't anything like I cook now. Like, I've ruined restaurants for all of my friends because I can cook now. I've had years and years of practice and I love cooking. It's my favorite thing. But those life skills, a lot of people don't have when they're in prison. Not everyone, but I think just cooking is such a huge deal, They could get out of prison and get a job as a chef or something, or, just work in a kitchen or something like that. Maybe even open their own restaurant, So skills, or just feed their family. Skills like that are essential to everyday life that they're able to get in prison, it's a big deal. There was a situation in a prison in Ohio where one inmate attacked a guard, and unfortunately that guard did not survive. So that prison is on lockdown, and the COs are retaliating against the inmates and locking them down, not feeding them a lot, not letting them go to the rec yard, and just restricting them even more. And, a lot of the inmates are complaining about that right now, but that is so true in prisons all across this country. Just a lot of violence, CO and inmate violence. And we can just keep talking about the officers that pass away and the inmates that pass away because they're beating the shit out of each other. Or we can talk about a way to change that and to fix that situation, because again, the American prison system is such a huge embarrassment, but it's also decades long, and it's going to take decades to be able to undo all of the harm that the American prison system has done on generations in this country. A lot of people don't think about this, but when one person goes to prison, it doesn't just affect that one person, it affects their entire family. They should have thought about that before they committed crime. No, I know. Y'all say that to me all the time. Just shouldn't have broken the law. Okay, that helps no one. That solves nothing. A huge reason as to why we don't see lasting and meaningful change in prisons in this country is because most people turn a blind eye because they're like, well, what did they do to go to prison? They just shouldn't have gone to prison. It's easier to just kind of turn away from it or snub your nose up at them because they're in prison and you're not. It's harder to actually come to the table with some solutions and some empathy and try to figure out a real way to solve this egregious problem in this country. Every CO should go home safe. Every inmate that does not have a life sentence should go home safe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I am going to end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you, because there is no wrong way to recover. And I'll see y'all in my next one.